You've probably heard that quote that a lot of marketers say, the money is in the list. But how do you actually build that list, especially when your audience is listening to their podcast with the phones in their pocket and their minds on the go? How do you actually build a list using your podcast? Today, I'm going to share some very simple list building tactics that are specifically crafted for podcasting. These are very simple strategies that can turn your listeners into loyal subscribers. Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Dilip. I'm a blogger, podcaster, and affiliate marketer. And if you're new here, then this is a channel where I share a lot of simple tips on using content like blogging, social media, podcasting to start a side hustle and make money from them. Now, one of the most overlooked aspects of podcasting is email list building. A lot of podcasters think that they don't really need to build an email list. Your show might be getting hundreds of thousands of downloads, but if you're not capturing those listeners in your email list, then you're missing out on long-term growth and deeper engagement with your audience. So today I'm going to share 5 simple list building tactics that are perfect for podcasters. These don't require any complex tech or huge budgets. It's very simple. All that you need is just a little bit of creativity and some consistency. So let's get started. Number 1, offering an irresistible lead magnet. Now, generic freebies don't work anymore, at least not in today's marketing. Your lead magnet has to be very specific, has to be relevant to the episode topic, and has to be valuable enough to make someone stop what they are doing and opt in to get that particular lead magnet. You will need some bit of creativity to create these kind of lead magnet. It can be a little tricky, but it is not difficult. It is very simple to create. Just a little bit of creativity is all that you will need to create it. Some of the examples can be a checklist that recaps all of the steps that you shared in that particular episode, or it can be a cheat sheet or maybe a worksheet to implement the advice that you shared on the episode, or you can offer a curated resource list based on what you mentioned in the episode or based on what your guest shared in the episode. These are all very creative lead magnets. Put in some thought to create a lead magnet that is tailored to that particular podcast episode. And when you're offering it in your episode, ensure that you're mentioning it early in your episode. Give it a compelling name so that the listeners understand what they're getting and then clearly explain the benefit. Number 2, using natural CTAs. Nobody likes pushy sales pitches, and pushy sales pitches don't really work in today's marketing. Instead, when you are pitching a lead magnet to your podcast listeners, use a very conversational CTA. A conversational CTA like, for example, by the way, if you would like a quick worksheet to help you implement today's tip, then you can grab it at and then just mention the link. Or you can even say, I've put together a quick checklist or a guide that complements this episode. You can check it out at and then mention the link. These are all natural conversational call to actions that don't actually interrupt the flow of the episode, and they feel like you're adding value to the discussion that you're already doing in that particular episode. So don't make a sales pitch. Use conversational CTAs to offer the lead magnet to your audience. Number 3, use content upgrades to boost opt-ins for your episodes. Now, content upgrade is a strategy that a lot of bloggers and marketers used some time back, and since then it is very effective, and that's why since then a lot of people have started offering content upgrades along with their content. Now, what exactly is a content upgrade? A content upgrade is again a form of a lead magnet. It offers additional value to what is already being spoken about in that particular podcast episode or in that blog post. So that way your listeners are getting additional value to what they've already got engaged with, maybe reading the blog post or listening to the podcast episode. So the key there is to uniquely tie it to the topic of that one specific episode. So for different episodes, you might want to create different content upgrades. So if you're doing an episode, for example, on interview preparation, then your content upgrade could be a 15 question interview prep cheat sheet, or maybe a guest research template, or you can even offer a checklist of pre-interview reminders that you can offer your listeners. Now, all of these feel very highly relevant in that particular moment because your audience is already engaged in that conversation, and it can boost conversion rates. Your conversions on your opt-in form can be extremely high. So try to use content upgrades that are specific to that particular podcast episode. Number 4 is to create a simple mobile friendly the opt-in form. Now, most of your podcast listeners are going to listen to your episode on their mobile phones. So it is important that your opt-in form is optimized for use on mobile phones. Make sure that your opt-in link is easy to say and remember, because you're going to say out that link in your podcast episode. So your podcast listener needs to ensure that they're going to that particular URL once they've listened to the podcast episode, which means that they need to remember that link. So use a short URL or maybe a redirect using your particular domain name, which is easy to remember, which is easy for you to say, and which is easy for them to remember. To ensure that your landing pages and your opt-in forms are mobile optimized, because if it is not optimized for mobile phones, then nobody is going to opt in. Ensure that your pages are optimized for mobiles. And 3, keep the sign up form quick. Don't ask for unnecessary information. Just the name and the email should be more than enough. And if you can do only with the email, then nothing like it. But keep it as simple as possible, only the minimum required information. The key there is to remove all kind of friction. The easier you make it for them to sign up, the higher your conversion rates will be. Number 5, and the last one, promote your lead magnet in multiple segments across your episode. Now, a lot of people feel that promoting it again and again can be pushy or can appear salesy, but it is not. Keep in mind that your podcast listener needs to be reminded about it multiple times for them to go and take action. So one mention is absolutely not enough. And since your CTAs are going to be very conversational, it isn't going to sound pushy at all. So ensure that you are promoting the lead magnet in multiple places across your podcast episode. You can maybe try placing it at the show intro, or maybe right after a powerful tip or a segment that you've shared in the episode, or even at the end of the episode. But do it at multiple points. Each mention should sound different. It shouldn't sound like a recorded ad that you're playing over and over again. Reinforce the value and repeat the URL clearly so that people remember. Now, list building as a podcaster can sound very difficult and complicated, but it doesn't have to be. If you're creating episode specific lead magnets, the conversion can be extremely high. And if you're using low tech tools, then the setup is going to be pretty easy. I would recommend using ConvertKit. ConvertKit is an extremely good autoresponder. You can set up workflows, you can set up automation, and the form creation is pretty easy, and their forms are optimized for mobile phones. So it is easier to create forms there. I would recommend using ConvertKit as your autoresponder. And if you don't have a domain name, then please go get a domain name, because your domain name helps build that brand for your podcast and is easier for your listeners to remember when you're sharing the URL to your lead magnet. So that's all that I have for this episode. I hope you found value and you learned a thing or two on how to go about building your list. If you did, then do give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification so that you stay updated with all of the latest episodes that I release. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below and I'll respond to all of that. That is all that I have for today's episode. I'll be back again. Until then, keep watching. This is goodbye from Dilip.